Yo.
Hey. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
We can't hear you, Coco.
Can hear you, Coco.
Uh-oh.
What's going on, man?
There you go.
There we go. What's up, everybody?
What's
Well,
going
guess what,
on?
y'all? Happy Thursday and welcome to another Root Access Live. We are your hosts. I am yours truly, your girl Coco. I got my brothers to the left and the right, Mr. Root and Jinx, and we got another dope show for y'all tonight. We're going to talk about last night's versus battle, Joe Biden and his comment on 45, Kanye's spiraling mental state, the NBA, and more. But ladies and gentlemen, guess what, y'all? Tonight we got a really, really, really special guest, and in today's climate, I mean, it's none better than this one. I mean, this is one for the books, y'all. You hear me?
The most
Author,
important Root
fighter,
Access Live.
voice for the people, and
Absolutely.
civil rights attorney whose practice focused on leading high-profile cases such as Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, the children of Flint, Michigan, the plaintiffs behind Johnson and Johnson, and also the Florida-based law firm Ben Crump Law. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have the pleasure of engaging Mr. Benjamin Crump this evening.
It's incredible.
That's a big deal. So
Incredible.
thank you all for tuning in tonight. Now let's go through our social media drill before we go any further. If you're new here, welcome to Root Access Live, and please like and subscribe to all our platforms. And if you're watching right now, also hit the share button. Thank you to everybody who's watching. Again, all questions, comments, and concerns can be emailed to rootaccesslive@gmail.com. And remember, we are live, so we will be reading and engaging in the comment section. Tonight's going to be a great night, so make sure you put your comments in and your questions so that we can ask Mr. Crump as well. With all that being said, you ready, guys? Let's go.
You ready?
You ready, Jinx? You ready, Root?
You ready? Let's go.
Y'all kind of quiet over there.
We
You
ready.
ready?
Is it me or is
Fire
it
it
y'all?
up.
I don't know what's going on. Can y'all hear me?
We
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
All right. Well, I guess everybody heard me. That's what really counts, right?
You can hear us?
No, I can't hear y'all. But anyway, um,
You need to hear us.
You gotta hear us.
I can't hear y'all. No. But let's move forward anyway. Even though you can't hear
Go
me,
out.
let me
Go out
let
and
me
come back
disconnect
in.
my earbuds. How about that? Let me
There we go.
disconnect my earbuds and
There
then
we go.
we'll move forward with that.
Because we gotta hear each other tonight. We got
We
some
gotta hear
live
each other
air
tonight.
color.
So we're good. All right. I took my
You hear us now?
earbuds out. We're ready.
Let's
All right.
go. Let's rock.
And
So
you sound the same. That's good.
all right,
Perfect.
great. All right. So with all that being said, y'all ready. I already know that y'all said y'all was ready. I want everybody. I wanted to
Ready.
hear for myself that y'all were ready. I was just reading lips. So let's go. All right. First segment, we're gonna do what's on your feet. I know that's your favorite segment here. So what's on your feet tonight, gentlemen?
I may have premiered these already, but it's a Nike Air Max shoe.
You have on Air Maxes tonight?
I have on Air Maxes tonight. It's
Welcome.
it's a collab they did with Supreme. So
Okay.
yeah, I like these. They're very comfortable. You can run in these. You could style and profile in these.
Right.
Yeah, got a little gold joint. Yeah, these are dope.
All right. So what about you, James?
Listen, I'm
What you doing
listen.
tonight?
He rubbed off on me.
What?
He rubbed off on
Oh, I'm
me.
about to pass out.
Come
My man got
on.
on. I have those too. You should have told me. We could have been twins.
Listen, we never pre-planned, and I didn't want to start
Yeah, we
tonight.
never pre-planned.
But listen. I've been rocking a lot of Jordan lately because again, I'm always for it. Jordan is the goat of shoes, and that's all I'm gonna say about that.
I'm not even going there with you today.
Well, as you all can see, I have on black and white tonight, so I'm not participating. I am actually the referee
What?
for this evening.
Oh, you there?
Oh,
I am the referee for this evening, and
That's somebody who's barefoot right now.
right.
I didn't ask you to put me out there, but
Ah.
however, I'm definitely digging both pairs. I'm surprised at Jinx that he doesn't have on all whites today. He doesn't have on Heaven's Sheets,
That
and
was last
I'm
week.
surprised too.
I am surprised. And then with Mr. Root, I'm going to go I do like the fact that you switched it up a little bit, but I know that you only wore Air Max because it had a collabo with Supreme. So I know how you roll, and I know
That is not true.
That's,
I have
that's not even legit. You don't even like Air Maxes for real.
Well,
So
hold
I
on,
want to hear
not true. I have a few pair of Air Max actually.
but I'm gonna give you a compliment.
All right, I'm gonna wear more Air Max just to show you guys. I have regular Air Max too, guys.
Well, anyway, I was gonna give you a compliment and say that they were dope, and
Thank you.
you always got some exclusives, so I'm not surprised that it's a collab. Now, thank you for letting me finish, guys.
You're welcome.
So anyway,
Because we
moving
don't
on.
want no more smoke. We don't want no
Here
smoke.
we go.
Here
Yeah.
is hilarious.
Because
Last
last week,
y'all don't want to go back to last week. Y'all know I
we
got my.
do. I don't know. I don't want no smoke. I need to be
You see this
focused for
notebook right here?
Benjamin Crump.
You see this notebook right here? This
I
got
see it.
all the notes
oh,
and things
God.
that I need. This is my reference book right here.
Coco got receipts.
And at any moment, I can go
Oh
back.
boy.
I'm just letting
Okay.
you know.
Whatever you say, Coco.
Hey, all right, I'm just saying. All right. So anyway, moving right along. Let's go into last night's versus battle. Last night's versus battle was a whole vibe. It featured the
It was
dog.
a vibe.
It definitely right. It featured the dogs of hip hop, DMX and Snoop. Now I had a whole different outlook going into this. At first, I didn't think it was a good matchup, but after witnessing, I was like, okay. Now most would have say X won the battle, but I believe they both put on a good show.
I agree.
X's energy was on 100, which I expected, and I was really, really digging Snoop's whole laid back vibe. So, and I totally enjoyed his freestyling. Now,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that? Well, I really want to hear from Mr. Root first because I know Jinx, you really didn't care or probably didn't even watch it. So, let me go ahead and please engage us, Mr. Root.
These millennials, I tell you,
Wow.
they don't pay homage and show respect
It
to
was
the
fire.
OGs.
That Reef
But
Ham was fire. It was fire.
Larif is
was
actually
good.
Larif is actually a millennial. So yeah, I believe he's a millennial.
The prayer poem was great.
I'm a millennial. I'm a millennial. And
You're a
yeah,
millennial as well?
Sahara, yup, I want all the smoke tonight, just like last week, because they had it up
it
to
was
here
dope.
with them. But
Last night was really dope, man. I feel like I think the matchup was good. I love the way they pegged it, like the battle of the dogs, if you will, DMX and Snoop. I mean, the song selections were dope. I mean, he started off with Deep Cover, boom, 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 boom. Like I was in high school when that came out. It was just like, oh man, it takes you back to a time. And of course, where my dog's at, Get At Me, Dog. I mean, I feel like Snoop won the first round, and DMX came out swinging in the second round. Like you would party up, y'all gonna make me lose my mind. I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up. Every time I hear that, it reminds me of a gospel song, and it's like put little tears in the corner of my eyes. Like his lyrics on that song, man, it's just like so heartfelt. And we all know DMX. They both, they do their thing, but they love the Lord. And DMX, he never disappoints when it comes to praying and just giving God honor throughout the whole night. They both were giving God praise. Even Snoop was at one point, he was like, you know what, let me put this blunt down. Like this is getting serious. So again, man, it was cool. I love the camaraderie of these things more than anything. Because when you think battle, you think there's gonna be a lot of tension, and we gonna feel a little salty. Who's gonna win? Who's not? People in their comments. But I feel like as of late, and actually, Beanie brought this up. She said ever since Bishop Hez and John P. Key did theirs, it's been more camaraderie. Before it seemed like it was a little, people would be on edge, didn't want to do it, but I think people are embracing it more now. I think that battle was dope. They had over 500,000 people, which was one of the biggest audiences for one of those. And it was so funny because throughout the night, Swiss Beats kept saying, letting them know the number, because the combined numbers was well over 1 million. So he was telling him, DMX was like, what's the numbers? And he's just like, 1 million. He's like, man, you lying. I keep seeing the same people.
Yeah.
So it was just funny to see, man. It was dope, man. It was dope.
Yeah, it was. And too, like in the beginning, like you guys said, I wasn't surprised at DMX's prayer. Now I thought Jinx was going to bring that up because did you watch a little bit of it at least?
I did. I said the prayer was dope. The prayer was absolutely dope. I think I watched a total of 30 seconds of a Snoop song, and that was it. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. But I did see the prayer, and the prayer was amazing. It was more of a poem, but it was still dope.
So you didn't vibe off that at all? Like it didn't even
See,
like
this is the problem. This is the problem. Y'all
30
thought I was joking last week when I said I didn't care about this battle at all. Y'all really thought I was joking. No, I came to tell y'all this week I don't care. I did not care. That was great that they did. Amazing. The Battle of the Dogs. Where my dogs at? Great. But nah, I didn't care.
Jinx is waiting for the Chingy battle, I guess.
I like the way you do that right there, right?
Yeah, he waiting for that battle. Get on my nerves, bro.
He waited for Chingy and Jaquan.
Yeah,
I don't
Chingy
even
and
know who the
Jaquan.
second person is. I only know the one song by Chingy.
What? No,
Yeah.
but overall, that was a dope battle. I think it was so far top 3. I would say. I definitely got
I
to
would
say
agree.
Kirk and Fred Hammond was number 1 in my book, and then I'm gonna go with Jill and Erica. Then I'm gonna
That
go
was a
with
good one
That
too.
was dope. Yeah, that was a dope battle.
That was a dope.
And then I might put honorable mention as Alicia Keys and John
No.
Legend.
Nope.
No.
Whack.
Mm-mm.
Ooh, what?
Bishop has it, and John P. Key definitely go before them.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
that
right,
was real dope.
all right. That was the first one ever.
Which
First
one?
gospel one. The first gospel
The first
one.
gospel one.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if y'all were watching, I don't know if y'all like me, but I be watching the comments hard. So I peeped in the comments that Jadakiss was a little salty. He was spazzing, #spazzing is what he said, because Snoop was in there blowing it down, and him and Fab couldn't smoke. So he was dumb drunk at the whole battle. Jadakiss
He
was.
made up for it because whatever he couldn't smoke, he sure was drinking.
Oh, absolutely. So,
Jada was lit.
yeah, so he was spazzing off that last night, and then I did see in the comments that Keisha Cole offered Ashanti out. She added Ashanti and was like, "What's good?" So that's something I'm looking for.
Sounds like a challenge to me.
I did see that baller alert right before we came on. I did see that baller alert did make mention of that challenge. So I don't think that anything has been confirmed at this point, but I saw a baller alert. They really did make mention of that.
Oh, well, that's dope because I knew I wasn't seeing things. I definitely saw it, and that's dope. I'm looking forward to that. I think they should do. I think they're so far apart, but now that they got, they probably been working on contracts because y'all know they signed with Apple now. So I'm guessing
that's huge.
So they getting paid for these versus battles now?
Yeah, I mean, they're getting paid, and they didn't set out to get paid. They just did it for the love of the music. But because it's so big now, Apple can now come in and it'll be on Apple TV, and it's just a different stream. I mean, I saw this coming. So
streaming on all platforms, basically. They just gonna have it.
Karen said, "No, thank you."
No, thank you.
Alicia Key to Ashanti. I'm not that interested. I'll watch it.
Y'all thought I didn't care about Snoop and DMX. I won't watch a second of that one.
My mother watched the whole thing, and my mother said DMX won.
I heard a lot of people say DMX won.
I'm not going to slide. I'm gonna let Jinx slide just now because I'm not going to ever watch because they black women. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my
God. We are not doing this again, Coco.
Nope. We ain't gonna do this. We're gonna move right along because
we're gonna move right along.
We got a guest coming on, and I want to have all this stuff out the way when he get here. So I want to step over to the political side for just a second. And matter of fact, 2 seconds. So Joe Biden, who is the most popular presidential candidate for 2020 presidential election, has stirred up the pot, y'all. Now, I've been riding for Biden, and I'm saying I'm still riding for Biden, but he made a true statement, but he personalized it, in which I believe he probably should have excluded a word and then added another word.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah, in his latest statement, he stated that President Trump, 45, was the first racist president. Now, I don't believe that's a false statement at all. But maybe he should have added the word blatant to it. Instead of saying he's the first racist president, he should have said he's the first racist president. You know what I mean? Because there have been many before now who have done racist things as far as, racist things as far as supporting certain laws that target people of color. So, I don't know. I mean, I
I
just
gotta
think
disagree with you, Cole.
I think
Yeah, he I think that he was off when he says that Trump was the first racist president, because I know of 12 previous presidents who owned slaves.
Hello, like what are we
and
talking about? What is he talking about?
so I can't agree with the blatant statement either. Well, people were trying to give him a pass on that. I mean, what's more blatant than owning slaves? I don't know. I mean, and this is something that people knew, that these presidents, they knew about these presidents. Now, the one thing I will say is times are different now as it relates to owning slaves being something that's normal, right? So I'll give them that. But Joe should have said something differently, and he should have never said the word first.
Right. Now
He
that
should have never said the word first, and he should have never talked about racism like we've never seen it before. What he could have done, he could have said Donald Trump is the most racist president that we've seen this century.
Okay.
He could have said this
You could have said
decade,
that.
Okay.
right? Because we know that there are a lot of things that can be considered racist that Donald Trump has said, but I cannot give him a pass on that, and I feel like he needs some kind of tutor on racism, because if this is what you call racist, what do you call the 12 presidents that owned slaves and beat them and sold them? What do you call that? I'll digress though.
I mean, at this point,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. At this point, Joe Biden, he needs to kind of be quiet. He needs to focus on November 3rd or 4th. I don't know what Tuesday that is. He needs to focus on November. Stop talking, because Joe Biden, you were just in hot water a couple weeks ago for things that you said, in the 70s and 80s, which were racist. All right, so you were already in hot water. You need to be quiet. That's a silly statement to say he's the first racist president. It's silly and it's untrue.
Because and it doesn't matter what context you use.
Like, it doesn't matter.
You know what I get tired of? And listen, I don't know, which I get tired of us making excuses just because we're tired of Donald Trump. Okay, right. What we're not going to do is make an excuse for a dumb statement just because we're over what's in the office now. The problem with us is we're not holding people accountable. We're not holding people. We're not holding people to the fire. I don't care who's in office. It's time for people to hold them to the fire. And I'm not going to turn a blind eye just because Joe Biden is the Democratic candidate. No, I'm actually going to hold him to the fire more, because if we want change, this is the kind of rhetoric we cannot have.
We can't.
And I totally agree with you all. Just like I said, he should have maybe excluded a word and added 2 words. Like, he definitely needs to be held accountable. So I'm definitely not, disagreeing with you at all on this one. I totally feel your passion on that. And like I said, I totally agree. And
it's like he's trying to throw things against the wall and make it stick. For something, he's trying to be provocative and trying to make us see like, oh yeah, let's get rid of Trump. But we want to get rid of Trump. However, you need to step your game up. Yes. Because what you're going to do, what people like you and Kanye are going to do, is they're going to do what they did in 2016 and stay home, because they're going to be like, you know what? You're not the candidate. Kanye's not the candidate. Or some people are going to just go vote for Kanye or like, it's ridiculous. And I feel like every week I say it, but I just feel like even with him, we're settling. And of course, it's the lesser of 2 evils. Of course it is. And of course, I would rather Biden, but is it?
But I mean, I'm again, y'all might get mad at me, but is it? I mean, we already know the man can't debate. We know he can't talk, right?
Right.
So debate season is coming, and so it's like the reality is like, is this going to help or hurt us? Because we know Donald Trump is a slick talker. Although Donald Trump is not the best debater, what we do know is we know he can pick the pop shots. And he can make certain comments that plant seeds of doubt. And the bottom line is he's already president.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has to come in and dethrone him.
Yes.
And this ain't the way, Joe. Joe,
Absolutely.
This ain't the way.
And we need somebody who's just as I'm sorry, Coco, but we need somebody who's gonna be a beast in that White House.
A beast.
Because once it's all said and done, even if he does dethrone Trump, it's gonna be hell out there.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Our country's gonna be in an uproar.
Right.
So we need somebody who can handle that. We need somebody with the temperament of Obama to handle that. And Joe ain't it. And I thought he was when he was rocking with Obama. But now seeing this guy, I'm like, I'm not confident. I'm not confident. And of course, I'm not going to vote for Trump. But I'm just saying, like, you go into the polls, like, here we go.
You shouldn't vote. You need to vote for not only the best candidate, but don't vote just because he may be the best candidate other than Joe Biden. But you also need to vote with your heart. If he's not the right person for you, then don't vote for him.
Oh, well, I cannot vote for Trump. And if it's only him or Trump.
Well, then you know what?
Because if you vote independent, you're voting for Trump.
Well, right. But you have to believe in your heart. I mean, me personally, I'm going to vote for anybody other than Donald Trump. And being that
they're for Joe Biden.
I've already said that I was riding for Biden. I've never changed my mind on that. You know, I like the platform. Yes, he has done things in the past, but like you guys all saying, just like Miss Karen is saying right now, he does need good advice, and he does need. He
needs a good vice president.
Good vice president.
Good vice president, but I was going to say advisory. Like he's going to need advisory on a lot of things too, and he's going to need to pay attention to that. But his campaign manager right now is a Black female. I can't remember her name right now, but she's doing really well at getting him out there. He is the popular candidate, but from now until November, that's a long time. So he's got a long time to recover and redeem himself from, these allegations and these things that he's saying. And he got time to think. So hopefully he do that. And just like we spoke with James Mtoomey last week or 2 weeks ago about, getting the victory. But after the victory, you got to follow up. And like you said, we're going to need that beast in the White House, and we're going to have to, follow up and be ready for the win. And, with that win comes a fight. You just can't win and just be at the top. People are going to want to pull you down. So, we're going to have to, show up, show out. And hopefully Joe Biden, just because we don't have another candidate. Well, we do have Kanye West, but Joe Biden step up. But speaking of Kanye West, I just think that that's actual crap and BS, that he is even, that he has even entered the race. First of all, it's like that's going to take away from the Black vote. Now, if he wants to, run, fine and dandy, but I don't think that that's a good idea. And like I said, it's going to split the vote, and we're going to have a problem. So, yeah. And then he was saying something about he wanted Jay-Z to be, his vice president, but they're saying we need to watch out for Kanye West. Kanye West has a motive. He's also got an album coming out soon. And in recent, recent days, he's been in the news a lot lately. First announcing that he's running for president in this year's presidential election, and then ranting on social media about his family life, threatening to leave the Gap and Adidas. And then he's been visited by Dave Chappelle to kind of get some counseling. And honestly, you know what? This guy he's not well, and he needs help.
Again, he's not well.
He's got a lot going on, and including filing for a divorce from his wife, Kim Kardashian, who he alleged tried to get him locked up the other day. So,
Kim
admitted. She tried to get him admitted.
Because Kim came out on Instagram, and she said something that was very, very true. She said, when a minor struggles with bipolar disorder, you can control what happens with them. But when it's an adult, they are making their own decisions. So even though they're an adult with a serious mental health issue, they don't have the right to force Kanye to do anything. So if he's not going to get help himself, her hands and their family's hands are tied.
That's correct.
So
That's correct.
we know for a fact that Kanye suffers from bipolar disorder, and this is ever since his mother passed away.
Ever since his mother passed away. And be mindful that he did. We were talking about him wanting to run for president. He was able to get on the ballot in Nebraska. I just wanted to add that to the story.
Right, but not in South Carolina, which is where he did the rally, where he said Harriet Tubman freed this. She didn't free the slaves; she freed them in the hands of other white oppressors. Yeah. So again, he's doing all the slavery talk again, which is just erroneous talk as usual. And again, he's not well. He's not stable. He said Kim tried to bring a doctor to lock him up. He likened Kris Jenner to King Jong-un, and then he deleted all the tweets and said, "I'm gonna focus on music now." So again, it's a distraction. I don't understand. It needs to be something within our Constitution that what people. It seems like it's easy to run for president. It seems like if you have the money, if you have the connections, if you have the power, you can just run. Like it's crazy how he can come in the month of July with 3 months left and just get on the ballot. That's ridiculous.
Right.
So it's something that needs to change within our Constitution, that everybody just think they can run for president. Is this where we are?
No, the bar is about that the president is. I mean, his vocabulary is third grade level. I mean, why not hope? Why not have hopes? But I mean,
I want to talk about that comment that Kanye made about Harriet Tubman.
Oh,
I know that he caught a lot of flack for that, but I want to bring that into context because Harriet Tubman did have a hand in helping slaves go free. Now, she was not the one who signed the executive order, but the reality is that when Black people were freed from slavery, what Harriet Tubman did based on her connections is she helped Black slaves get jobs. So it wasn't that a Black man or a Black woman in that time could go work for another Black man or Black woman. It just wasn't there. So what she did was, through her connections, she helped Black people get jobs to do the same labor, but now get paid for it. And the only people that were there were white people. That's historical. So Kanye is mixed up in his head about what's happening, but the reality is that she did help. She
did. And we can't take away from that.
We're not going to take that away from her.
And Kanye just has it. Kanye just needs to understand that what she did is not something to be frowned upon. What she did helped us. So the context in which he said it was crazy, because if I'm a slave and now you're telling me that for the same work that I've been doing for free, now I'm getting paid and I'm gonna go work for this white man. I'm gonna go work for the white man because I got a friend, I got a wife and kids.
What he said is no different from what he does, because let's be clear. I have Yeezys right here, right? But this ain't 100% Kanye.
No, it's Adidas.
It's Adidas. It's 15%. He gets 15. So let's be clear. You're not getting 100% of that, nor are you getting 100% a Gap. These are all white-owned companies. So it's the same. If you transfer it to modern day, it's the same thing. So stop it.
Yeah. No, I'm just not. And I mean, like I said, I might just be biased, but I'm really not a fan of Kanye West. But he needs some help, ladies and gentlemen. You know, all we can really do is pray for him at this point. It's just like no help for him. And imagine him being the president of the United States as unstable as he is. It's just not.
Well, we have one already. So it's a transfer. It's just going from white to black.
Right, but then so let's say we go from white to black. That's still making the same mistake. That's insanity.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Expecting a different outcome, we're not going to do that. So
I totally agree.
I if Joe Biden is the Democratic president, the only presidential candidate, then that's who we need to go for. And I mean, he got to get it together. He has some work to do, and we all have work to do. And we just need to trust the Lord, and God, because
only the Lord.
Yes.
And really quick, I know this is not on our topics, but America has the most coronavirus cases in the world right now, with over 4 million. America, over 4 million. California is about to be back to, I guess, phase 1. Everybody gonna have to stay home. Texas, those numbers are through the roof. Thank God for New York. New York is pretty stable, and their cases have decreased. But it's still crazy out here. People are acting like the virus is gone. And again, it's the leader. The leader's just like, everybody go back to school, everybody go back to work, everybody go back to shopping. When your leader is saying this, you're gonna listen to your leader. Like, it's not here. It's a hoax. You know, we're hearing all of this stuff.
Did y'all hear about the governor who said that the kids are gonna go back to school, and when they go back to school, they're going to get the coronavirus? They're not gonna go to the hospital. They're gonna go home, and they're gonna get over it, and then they're gonna go back to school, and everyone's gonna be okay. Wow,
it's crazy. I told my daughter today, and she was upset because you can imagine she's been out of school since March. I said, the first week of school, you're not going. What do you mean? I've been out of. I said, no, because I don't understand. I don't have no plan. It's no plan in action. It's just like, as of right now, come back to school in August. Are we kidding? It's a melting pot. That's like Corona waiting to happen, to have thousands of students with no type of alternate plan. It's ridiculous.
And then they said ridiculous. Who couldn't get it. And then there was a daycare in Texas where 85 infants contracted the virus.
I saw that. Yes.
That's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's
I
crazy.
mean, I always say, when the president gets on the microphone, it's opposite day to me. So whatever he says, I'm doing the opposite of what's he doing. If he's not wearing a mask, I'm wearing my mask. I might not have on gloves or the whole armor, but I got the armor, of God, and I got my mask on.
You better preach, Cole.
I know,
Cole. You got on your evangelist blouse,
right? With the pearl.
No, I thought I was refereeing the sneakers, but whatever.
By the way, just real quick, that was the governor of St. Louis, Governor Mike Parson, who said those comments about the children getting the virus, going back to school, and going home. That was Governor Mike Parson of St. Louis.
And you know what? I'm glad that Governor Cuomo, and I've definitely commented on the Root Rundown a few times, that Governor Cuomo for president. And I am grateful that, I'm a New Jerseyan, so I'm really grateful that Governor Phil Murphy is following behind, or, he's working with Governor Cuomo to keep us safe. And, he's adding to that list. And, by the way, I don't know, Jinx, if you know, but I think you do know, because you keep up on stuff like this. But Delaware was one of the first states to open, just like it is the first state, Delaware. But it's also been added to our list of our New Jersey's restriction list. If you were visiting the state of New Jersey from Delaware, they're asking that you quarantine. Y'all opened up first, so
let me tell you what happened. Yeah, let me give you some clarity, right? So, Governor Carney, we were in the press conference with Governor Carney, and what took place was, anytime a state has triple-digit numbers, increased by triple-digit numbers, they are automatically looked at as a hot zone, right? Because there's triple-digit numbers. And obviously, if you got triple digits, something's going wrong. So what they don't tell you is that we had over 1,600 people tested. So over 1,600 people tested, and only 121 came back positive. So what about the other 1,479 that came back negative? So obviously Governor Carney wasn't happy about that, because the majority of the tests did come back positive, right? We have less than 13,000 positive corona cases here in Delaware statewide. So we have done a great job here in Delaware of keeping the numbers down. What hurt us, honestly, is when we opened our beaches back up. When we opened our beaches back up, we had a lot of people going to the beach, and I don't necessarily blame them, because, we even thought about going to the beach, but we pumped the brakes on that. But it's only because you've been locked up for so long, you just want to get out and do. But, Delaware has been one of the, and it could be because of the number of residents we have. It could be because there's really nothing to do in Delaware, so you have nothing to do but stay home, for real. But we have done a great job in keeping the numbers down. But that number can be kind of skewed, or that report can be kind of skewed, because our positive rate, our positive percentage is only 3.8%. So it's kind of skewed only because we had triple digit increases, but that's what happened in Delaware.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Thanks for bringing that clarity.
Yeah.
bringing that up because I was like, what if we did another Root Access Live? Jinx can't come. No.
Yeah, nah.
Oh, well, if we did another
The
pop-up,
pop-up.
right?
Yeah, the
Another
pop-up.
Jinx can't come.
Yeah.
You know, but, and I get it. If you're a numbers person, then you have a different perspective on the virus. But me, I work for the Mercer County in Trenton, New Jersey. Full time. So every day, I look at the numbers, and I'm the person who sends them out to different elected officials around the county. So I'm aware of the numbers, and I'm conscious, so I limit my access to people, and I limit people's access to me. So, like you said, people have been going to the beach, and anybody who knows me, like I go to the beach every Sunday. When I leave WIMG, I'm headed straight for the beach. But this year, I'm like, let me go fishing. Let me get a fishing pole. Let me go work out. Let me, get on my bike and go bike riding. I have become an outdoorsy person. But
So
I'm glad
what
you
I want to
clarified.
know is the
What's that?
beach the problem, or is it the amount of people at the beach the problem?
I think it's the amount of people at the beach because what a lot of people understand is that, okay, when you're outside and you're walking by yourself, you don't need to have a mask on. But I think they take that same mentality to the beach. And so like, oh, I don't need my beach because I'm going to be outside. But you will need your mask if you're going to be outside at the beach, if there are thousands of people there. Right. So if you're by yourself at the beach, no, you don't need your mask. If you're by yourself outside, I run, I walk, whatever. I don't use my mask when I run, I walk. But if I'm going to a place where there's going to be, a bunch of people, even though we're outside, I'm still going to have my mask on. And that's what I think people are doing. I think people are saying that, oh, we're going to be outside, so I'm not going to take my mask. And I think that's the mistake.
And not only that, a lot of people are with the respects of Dr. Fauci and everybody else. They're saying that the heat kills the virus. So in the last few days, you've seen that the beach has been extremely crowded. However, once you get too hot and you go on the boardwalk and you go into these places that are air conditioned, the virus starts to flow through the air vents. So you might not be outside, but when the wind blows and the sand blow on the beach, you don't know what you're contracting. And then when you go, like I said, you go inside to the boardwalk, into those stores or those pizza shops, or you're looking for some more shoes, your feet hot, so you're looking for what you call them, water shoes. The virus begins to circulate through those vents. So that's really the problem.
Yeah, I want to note this because I saw a report about this before. So Nora said, please read CNN Health. The numbers are increased because people who registered to take the test and made an appointment but decided not to go received notices in the mail that they tested positive for COVID. So in other words, these people never actually got tested, but they received a notice that they tested positive. I read a report that was on MSNBC.com that 90 individuals received a false positive test.
I heard about that.
And they had to then be contacted in the mail, letting them know, oh, sorry, it was a false positive. And so there is a lot of that going on too. But, it's difficult for us to really understand how much of that is happening. But this whole COVID thing has been a real debacle from day one. And it's something that we haven't been able to really get under control. And then when you look at places like Sweden and Norway did absolutely nothing. They didn't shut down. They didn't wear masks. They didn't close schools. They didn't close business, and the virus went away.
And not only that, China, who they say the virus, where they say the
virus China
is doing a lot better than America as well.
China.
Right. I can't. China.
That's the only time I laugh at this fool when he did that. She was like, where does it? But where does it come from? China. I was China. I was like, yo, this dude. This is when I knew he was off his rocker, yo.
And the other time I laughed.
I'm sorry, Coco.
Wait, I gotta say this now. I'm sorry. The other time I laughed, and he's like, "That's a very nasty question. You're just nasty.
The nastiest person on earth.
You're nasty." And he just keeps saying, "You're nasty. That's extremely nasty. Who gave you a license to be a reporter? You're nasty." I'm like, "What?"
Fake news.
The nastiest person ever. He's nasty to everybody, all the reporters. But I forgot what I was saying. Root, you cut me off.
I'm so sorry. China.
Oh no, I was saying that China, where the virus came from, they're doing way better than we are. They're done. They're open back.
Everybody is, Cole.
You know, they've opened their Disney World, which is going to happen here. I don't understand that. Six Flags in New Jersey, Hurricane Harbor opened today, if you guys didn't know that.
Okay.
But you know, I mean, I don't know. I think we got a long road ahead. I really do think that, you know, as bad as we want to open up and you know, we want our kids to go back to school and be educated, it's just not it's
Yeah.
just not happening right now. And I don't think that they should rush this vaccination. Like I said, they're adding on components. They gotta find, you know, one that's suitable, you know, for everybody, pregnant women. And what about all these babies that are being born with the virus? It's this is a lot, guys.
Wow,
I don't
Coco,
know.
I didn't even think about that.
Me
This
neither.
is a lot. This is a lot.
Neither.
And just like when we talked about last week, you know, sending your kids as freshmen back to universities and even universities in Atlanta, like it's so high. And in Texas, you know, you wanted like a lot of us, you know, we want to send our kids to back to school. We want them, you know, to experience that freshman life. We want to send them to HBCUs. But you send your child to a place like Atlanta, your child is not going to stay on campus. So whether you bring those upperclassmen back on the campus or not, those kids are going to go out for nightlife. So they're going to contract that. I'm telling you, I would, if as a freshman, I've been there at an HBCU, dude. It's the best experience. You're never gonna have that experience ever again. But right now is just not the time. And you know what?
Right, man.
Shout out to the class of 2020.
Yeah.
Like y'all
Shout out.
did. Like I'm proud of y'all. This was a trying time, and you guys made it through. So kudos to y'all. You know, you didn't get sent off properly like you should. You know, had the good graduations, the crowds, you know, and the stadiums and all that. But you
Yeah,
guys,
man.
deserve an applause for that.
They
So
do. They do. Shout out. Is our guest waiting yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so you guys continue to talk. Just so you guys know, right before we got on this broadcast, Benjamin Crump is driving. So he called me and he was like, he's driving. He'll get to his destination around 7:38. Although all the correspondents at Eastern Standard Time, I'm wondering, you know, if they are an hour behind wherever he is or ahead. So I'm gonna call,
Okay.
and so I'm gonna put myself on mute. You guys continue to talk.
All right. Cool.
well, you know what? Since we got some time and we were talking about, I want to talk about the sports where I want to change.
Yeah.
I want to change the dynamic.
We're a little heavy, right? Let's get a little light.
Let's get a little heavy. So, you know, as everybody knows, or if you don't know, the NBA is opening back up or has opened back up. And I believe they had their first set of games last night, correct?
That's correct.
Is that correct? Now, I didn't watch it and I'm, you know, not the biggest fan of it, but, and I know that, you know, in the previous weeks, they've been being tested and, you know, been placed in a bubble and all that good stuff. But I want to know what you think. And I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive that all of the fans, football fans or, you know, NBA fans are excited but worried at the same time. Like anxiety might be on high. So what you thinking about? You watched the game last night. What was you feeling?
Yeah, you know, it was different. Like it was different to get used to because you're so used to fans, you're so used to, you know, loud noises and things of that sort. So, real quick, shout out to the NBA. Ever since everyone has been in the bubble, they had 396 people tested for COVID, and every single one of them came back negative. No one tested positive for the coronavirus, so that's a positive. Now, onto the game, right? It was a little bit different. No, it was a lot of bit different because the coaches, the players were all on the bench wearing, you know, they were 6 feet apart the way that they were seated. Some of the coaches had masks on, sitting on the bench. They did have Black Lives Matter on the court. It was painted on the court.
Nice.
So that was cool. The game last night that I caught was the Miami Heat versus the Sacramento Kings. And so it was played at what would be considered the Heat home court. Right.
Okay.
So each NBA team has a home court there. It's just where your logo is on the court. Obviously, there's no fans. So the Heat did something that was crazy. So every single place that they play, there's a huge jumbotron. So what the Heat did when the Kings player was shooting free throws, they put on a video of the Heat stadium and people screaming. It got loud in there for about 30 seconds. While the dude was shooting free throws. So that was dope, just trying to simulate the crowd noise.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it was different. It was good to see basketball, but it definitely was not the same.
Wow.
So you gonna watch the rest of the season, or
Oh,
what
my
do you?
boys are balling right now. It's already being recorded. So if we wasn't on this live, I'd be watching the Lakers right now. I'm watching.
Okay.
I'm gonna watch. I didn't watch the first game. I'm gonna have to force myself because I like crowds. I like the whole energy
Yeah.
of crowds and stuff like that. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be different for me. But again, this is what we have to do. I guess this is going to be the new norm for a while. I mean, they're talking about no concerts until 2022 or the end of 2021. So can you imagine? We never thought we'd be in a time like this. But again, it's because, like I think my mom said earlier, no discipline. Like Americans are not disciplined like other countries, which is why it's eradicated in other countries. But here it's growing because you can't tell a person. Like I said, I was in a barbershop last week, and we all got the mask on or whatever, and then the white dude comes in and he's just like, they're like, oh, where's your mask? Oh, I don't have it. It's a thing. It's a thing. And I'm like, yeah, it is a thing. It's a privilege thing. Why don't you have your mask?
It's a thing. Now go put it on.
I go put it on. But what do? They still let him in, and they cut his hair, and I'm sitting there pissed in the chair because it's like, why? This is why they do what they do. The Karens and all of them. Sorry, Karen. I know you're on here. I know you wish, you probably want to use your middle name now. But the Karens out there,
Miss Hayward, Miss Green Hayward.
they think they can just do what they want, and you can't say anything. And like, no, wear your mask. Yeah. Like, why you're not above the law, or like my daughter say, you're not above the virus. We were talking about today. She's like, you're not above the virus. It's the truth.
I mean, you can't see it. The fact that you can't see it, like, you got to live your life. I understand that, and it's a thing. You're hot, you can't breathe at certain points, but go away from people, pull your mask down for a second, catch your breath, then go back. Now, I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of conflicted. Want to watch b-ball, but what about the health risks? The social movement is sketchy. So basically, I feel like are you saying that if you watch it, then you're condoning not wearing the mask or not the PPE use? Is that what he's saying?
I don't think so. I think what he's saying is he's concerned about overall health, right? I think he's concerned about the risk versus reward factor, right? Because, to watch b-ball, I think part of what you're saying is right, Coco, to be in support. But is he putting his support of his fanhood over the support of, health for the people playing? I think that's what he's saying. And right. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't conflicted in that because I'm not a part of it, but I am happy that they are doing the ample testing. It's the same thing with the NFL. NFL players are the same way. The players want to play. Several of the NFL guys have been on Twitter, Instagram, expressing their desire to play, but they're not going to play without something in place. How often are people going to be tested? How are we going to monitor that? And I think football is the easiest sport to play because there have already been manufacturers that have created a shield. First of all, you already have a helmet. So here's the first thing you do. You make gloves mandatory. Everybody has to wear gloves. That's easy. The second thing you do is you make visors mandatory. Everybody must wear a visor. Most of them wear visors anyway. That's easy. And there has already been a manufacturer that has manufactured a protective piece of plastic or whatever it is that will come down to the bottom of the face mask. Okay. What more can you ask for? And to me,
does that extra piece is like, somebody who doesn't wear glasses and you put on a pair of shades or you put on a pair of, just glasses just for the look for the day. Does that alter your vision or, know what I mean?
No, because it's not not connected to the eyes. It's connected to the helmet. And so it doesn't affect your vision at all. It's clear or it's tinted. You could have either one. And like my son wears visors all the time. It doesn't do anything. It's a look for him.
Okay. Right. And it's all about the money. But then too, Kyrie has anybody heard from Kyrie? He had a big, he had a lot to say, a few weeks ago in regards to, the distraction and, taking away from the George Floyd murder and, what's going on right now in America.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard from him. So I kind of was, when I found out the NBA had opened up yesterday, I was kind of waiting for a statement, but I hadn't heard anything. So you guys haven't either, I'm guessing.
No, is he playing, Jinx? I haven't heard anything.
No. Kyrie is not playing. Kevin Durant's not playing. Avery Bradley of the Lakers is not playing. This is an individual. Avery Bradley has a son, who deals with upper respiratory infections all the time.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not. I can't.
I don't blame him.
There are
he'll subject his family, but then again, at the same time, they have been bubbled for a couple of weeks, but then there was one player, I don't know his name. You might can tell me. If not, we'll go back and fact check it. But he had a slip up, and not even thinking about it, but he ordered some food and
left the bubble.
Yeah. And they had to test him and everything like that.
To quarantine him. Listen, Dwight Howard, of my team, was walking around without a mask on, and they're like, "Yo, what are you doing? Like, you got to take this seriously."
It's like, how do you monitor all of this?
Zion Williamson, of the New Orleans Pelicans, he had a dire family emergency. He had to leave the bubble, so it's going to be a quarantine period for him to come back. There are players now who tested positive for COVID-19 who are now arriving at the bubble because their symptoms are gone. There's a lot of moving parts here, y'all. There's a lot of moving parts.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, it is bittersweet. That's why I was asking or trying to get clarification on Johnson's, statement. Like, you want to support it, and like I said before, like, you're excited, like, as a fan, like, oh my God, I've been so bored. Like, I'm excited to see these players play, watch my favorite sport, but at the same time, are you supporting a health issue? So if something goes wrong, are you going to feel bad for these players?
It's going to be interesting because even if when they go to like the playoffs and the finals, it almost seems like it's a washed season. Like, even though whoever wins the championship is going to be like, you only won because it's quarantine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it won't even be a real victory because there's so many moving parts and so many people not playing. You know what I'm saying? That Kevin Durant's not playing, so he's one of the major stars of the NBA.
So if his team loses, then that's an excuse right there.
But he wasn't playing. He was out anyway. He wasn't playing anyway.
Oh yeah, that's true. He was. I forgot about that. Yeah.
He's on the injured list.
Yeah, so he did something to his Achilles.
Yeah.
But
on the topic of sports, right? Can we talk about the Washington Redskins?
I was just about to say that. Can we go to the Washington Redskins
and their lazy name?
A lot of y'all know that, with today's climate, the racial slurs, and I mean, I guess Washington Redskins is just, is a redskin is a racial slur.
Absolutely.
If you're dissecting and depicting the situation, but at the end of the day, we've been used to calling them the Washington Redskins. So in recent light of what's been going on, they've been asked to change their name, and they changed their name from the Washington Redskins to the Washington Football Team. That don't even sound right. Like, where's the mascot? What's the mascot for the football team? Are they gonna come out with a big football? Yeah, like I'm not feeling that at all. And
I'm hearing it's temporary.
I got a question. When y'all done. I really do have a question, and I want to save this question for after y'all done talking about y'all feelings, because I know a lot of people are gonna feel me on this. So y'all go ahead and talk. Matter of fact, Jinx, you go ahead because you've been itching about this.
So I have a big problem with Daniel Snyder, who is the owner of the Washington Football Team. I have an extreme problem with him because back in 2013, Daniel Snyder vowed that he would never change the name of the Washington Football Team. He vowed it because it was in his heart to do. He bought the team as the Redskins. He vowed he would never change the name from the Redskins. Let me be very clear. Daniel Snyder did not change the name from the Washington Redskins to the Washington Football Team because he had a change of heart. Let me give you two names as to why he changed the name. FedEx and Nike, the two major sponsors of the Washington Football Team. You know what they did? They threatened to pull their sponsorship if he didn't change it. That's why he now is ready to change the name.
Okay.
And kudos to the attorney who trademarked 14. Watch this. This attorney trademarked 14 possible names that the Redskins could have had, and he trademarked them to stop them from changing the name, because he said if it was in your heart to do, you would have done it, and now you're stuck. Kudos.
So he left him with no
possible suggestions for right now. Like they literally have to get creative for a new name, Coco. It's ridiculous.
What were some of the names that they could have come up with? What do you come up with the Washington?
They were talking about Red Wolves. They were talking about Red Tails. They were talking about Red Hogs. They were talking about Hogs. They were talking about there was a whole list of them, and all of them, this attorney trademarked all of them,
and
so that they can have them.
All significant to Washington.
Yeah.
Okay. So now,
Daniel Snyder, I have a problem. This talks about his. We want to talk about privilege. That talks about his privilege. That talks about his inability to look at the climate and people's feelings and society. It speaks to all of that. If money is the only thing that will change your mind to do what's right for an entire group of people, you're wrong.
So he's been monopolized. Good for him.
Yes.
For him.
And I agree with Raquel. I agree. I believe it should be the Red Tails. I agree with you. But I think that attorney trademarked that too.
Wow. You got anything on that, Root?
I was just hitting you guys. All right. So Mr. Crump, I said he was driving. He's now pulled over to the side of the road, and he's gonna call in from the side of the road. He definitely apologizes. Again, it's an honor to have him on. He's very, very busy. He's all over the place, of course, representing so many.
He's here.
He's coming in. So, yep. All right. Thank God. Without further ado, man, he needs no introduction. He's the attorney for families for Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, a gentleman and a scholar. And look, he's suited and booted, ready to talk to us. Everybody representing Attorney Benjamin Crump is in the building.
Yes,
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, sir.
Coco Jinx. I apologize for my delay, but I'm all ready.
Oh, this is great.
We just excited to have you. The time went under our feet. We didn't even think about the time. We just excited to have you here, sir. So please welcome to Root. We welcome you to Root Access Live.
Absolutely. We're gonna get right into it, Mr. Crump. First and foremost, we want to thank you for all that you do for social justice in America. You are one of the most important figures in America today, and I mean that wholeheartedly. I guess it's so many things we can ask you, but I guess first and foremost, where are we now? It's been about, I think, 5 months at this point, almost, for Breonna Taylor. We talk about this topic every week here. It's unfathomable that police officers can just bum rush somebody's apartment with no warrant and kill them and still not be arrested. Where are we now in that case?
Yeah, Hassan, first let me say it's an honor to be with you all this evening, and the fact that the Root has always given a platform for stories like Breonna Taylor and other unknown Breonna Taylors like Pamela Turner, a sister executed in Houston, Texas, a year and 2 months ago on video, and they still haven't arrested the police officer who killed that queen.
Wow.
Taylor, I just literally talked to her mother earlier today. The WNBA is starting their season this weekend, and they are going to honor her by all of the players having Breonna's name on the back of her.
Wow.
So that's a real, I think, big effort to show the Attorney General in Kentucky that institutions like the WNBA are also saying that we cannot forget that Black women lives matter just as much as brothers or anybody else. And, when I was working on Ahmaud Arbery to get those charges Hassan, I would do every interview, and at the end of the interview, I would say, and we can't forget our sister, Breonna Taylor, because oftentimes, man, sisters don't get the same recognition or attention that the brothers get when they're executed by police. And point in case, just think about all the hashtags that we know. It's like 10 times more black men nor black women, but there are as many black women being killed too, and we don't know their names, and oftentimes nothing happens to them, whether it's Natasha McKinney in Virginia, who was in her underwear, handcuffed in a jail, and they tased her repeatedly, and none of those officers got convicted. When you think of Ayanna, the 7-year-old who was in Detroit, Michigan, the police raided a dangerous no-knock warrant, just like Breonna, and they had the TV show following them, like cops or somebody was with them filming, and they killed that 7-year-old girl, and the police officer was charged, but the jury acquitted him, and nobody was held accountable for her death.
Unbelievable.
I mean, and you just see all these instances of black women, Sandra Bland, being killed and nobody held accountable. So to answer your question directly, Breonna Taylor, we know there is probable cause out of this world to charge the officers. The lieutenant who lied to get the probable cause affidavit that the judge signed to issue the warrant, he lied and said that the United States postal inspector had said that Breonna was getting packages delivered to her house. Well, when pressed on that, the postal inspector said no such thing. They had no record of Breonna having packages delivered to her house. And y'all, we know when the post office delivers stuff, they got to keep track of it because
that's right.
They got to be able to document that. And so they Breonna didn't get any packages delivered to her house. So that was a lie. And then you think about the fact that Officer Brett Hankerson, he shot the majority of the shots from outside of the house, blindly shooting into the apartment.
Blindly.
That's homicide if ever there was one. And oh, by the way, Hassan, he then goes missing for 2 hours while everybody is there trying to be on the crime scene to put together the dots. He just disappears. And, it's awfully suspicious. What would a person disappear for? A lot of people think that when you got stuff in your system, you're trying to figure out how that not to get tracked. But whatever the case may be, he was gone.
Wow.
Wildly and recklessly into the house. And I know your audience knows Breonna's case, but it bears repeating.
Absolutely.
Jinx, imagine your sister or your brother, for that matter, in their bed, sleep at night in the sanctity of their own dwelling. Unbeknownst to them, the police who are at their front door don't announce themselves, don't identify themselves, and are in plain clothes. They take a battering ram and they bust open the front door and they come in with guns. Kenny Walker, her boyfriend, 27 years old, no criminal history whatsoever, Coco, never even been arrested. Breonna, 26 years old, never been arrested, no criminal history. I mean, brother and sister doing the right things. Kenny worked at the post office. Breonna Taylor works at EMT. And
Can I say one thing?
Yes, please.
He was also licensed to carry, am I correct?
Yeah, that's exactly the point, co-counsel. I was getting to that. He was a registered gun owner.
Yep.
Did Hassan what I would hope all strong brothers would do at night in the sanctity of their own dwelling.
Hello, talk about it.
For a fact, I know for a fact. I mean, I live in the state of Delaware, so Delaware is open carry, and the reality is that if someone were to do that to me, I don't think I'm wanting to pay attention to what an individual is wearing. My thing is to protect my family, protect my wife, protect my children, protect
Right.
those who are with me. So I would have done the exact same thing that he did.
Right. Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so this brother got his gun. He tipped down the hall, and when they came through the front door, he shot a warning shot. And then at that point, the Louisville Metropolitan Police Department, those three officers just unloaded. They had shots coming from the front door. They
Mm.
had shots coming from the side window. They had shots coming from the patio. I mean, they were shooting so recklessly and blindly into the apartment that
I'm guessing that he's saying they were shooting blindly and recklessly, that they didn't know what they were shooting at aimlessly, and
Yeah.
killed killed Breonna Taylor, and shot
yep,
her fiance or boyfriend, and then he was then locked up.
yep.
You
Can y'all
know,
can y'all hear me?
We
we can
can
hear
hear you. We can't see you.
I don't know what happened, so I'll talk and hopefully it'll come back online. But as
Yep.
Coco, as Attorney Coco was making the case, literally, this brother, he did everything he had the legal right to do. They unloaded, and tragically, Breonna Taylor's body was mutilated
Mm,
with
Mm.
8 bullets while she was in her underwear.
Jesus.
wow.
Unbelievable.
Have to listen to that
Peacefully killed.
911 tape from Kenny Walker. Hopefully, you can play it on your show one day, Hassan. It's only 3 minutes long, but it is one of the most heartbreaking things you ever hear
I heard it.
because it tells you, Hassan, what his mentality was.
Yeah.
You don't call 911 if you think it's the police.
That's
Right.
right.
No, you don't.
Yeah. He was scared out of his mind.
And so when he's on the phone with them, he says, someone broke in our apartment. Please help us. Please help us. And he sounds like he's sad, trying to stay quiet because he knows somebody broke in the house. And then he says, Bree, stay with me. Stay with me. Don't close your eyes, Bree. Don't die, Bree. Please
Heartbreaking.
don't die. I mean, and it's just heartbreaking. And I have a unique perspective, Jinx, because I also am an attorney working with a great legal team, representing Ahmaud Arbery and representing Breonna Taylor.
Right.
And
Right.
so never ever have I seen self-defense in black and white so vividly
Right.
Mm,
distinguished
wow.
as with Ahmaud Arbery's case and a Breonna Taylor's case. Let me explain. With the killers of Ahmaud Arbery, this murderous father and son duo,
Mm-hmm.
the McMichaels, Travis and Greg,
Hmm.
they lynched this brother in broad daylight.
Broad daylight.
I mean, for jogging while black in 2020, not 1940, not
That's
1950.
right.
But the lynch mob chased him. We see it on the video in 2020. And then when they kill him, the police come, and on day one, the first hour, they show the police the video. The police see the video of this man being killed, unarmed, I mean, sweatpants, and the police look to the at Michaels and them, and they say self-defense. And the police take their word for it and let them go home and sleep in their beds in peace for over
Mm,
10 weeks.
In
Now,
peace.
just oppose that with what happened to Kenny Walker. After the police confront him, he say, put his hands up just like the McMichael say, self-defense. We thought you all were burglars. We thought
right.
you all were invading our home. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we didn't know y'all were police. The police arrest him,
Mhm.
take him to jail, and charge him with attempted murder where he is facing life in prison. We were successful in getting them to drop the charges. However, the police union is still pushing that he should be charged with attempted murder. And so
how crazy is that?
Self-defense and black and white in the United States of America. When white people say self-defense, they are believed. When black people say self-defense, they say prove it in a court of law.
That's right.
Now, Attorney Crump, if I can ask you, who is now being investigated in Louisville for the way that he handled this Breonna Taylor case?
Well, it is the mayor. They are asking that the city commission, and it's really sad, man, because the mayor, when you read our amended complaint, there was an effort to gentrify a neighborhood where predominantly black people lived on the street. And so the subject of these no-knock warrants, this young man, they had 5 properties that they executed no-knock warrants. They used over 70 police officers. It was unprecedented. I mean, even the police said this had to come from the top. You know, this ain't no regular person making these calls to have all these people on staff to execute warrants. And remember, Breonna had never committed a crime.
Never.
Had the right to the 4th Amendment against illegal and unlawful search and seizure. But they just overrode all those things. And many people in Louisville believe because they was trying to force what they have been characterized as a low-level drug dealer to give up his property so they can gentrify this downtown neighborhood. And it's troubling, but that would explain why the mayor isn't being more proactive and seeing that these officers are all fired and that they are charged, because this may come to his doorstep. And so we keep asking these questions. Why was it so important for you all to get a low-level drug dealer who was selling a couple of bags of marijuana?
That's ridiculous.
But not only that, it wasn't even his residence. It was her residence.
It was her residence, and she had no packages delivered to her house.
Correct. And she was one of the, and she was a frontline worker. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
So she was putting her life on the line during this pandemic to help folks. And here she is being, getting killed for some nonsense.
And Coco, I don't know if you all heard, Hassan, that night, one of the police officers told Kenny that we made a mistake.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I didn't hear that.
I heard that.
Yeah.
That came out early on.
That
was reported early on. Yep.
Interviewing Kenny that night, he asked, why did that police officer say we made a mistake? They did something wrong. And the internal affairs detective was like, well, we don't know anything about that. Kenny said, I'm not stupid. They did something wrong. Y'all need to find out what they did wrong.
Yep. Right. And they sent that girl's mother to the hospital knowing that she wasn't even there yet.
She wasn't there. Right.
Yep.
Right.
I mean,
so they sent Breonna's mom to the hospital while she was still in the apartment. Correct. That's the story I heard.
Absolutely. Jinx, and they knew it. They, a lot of times I do believe there's a conspiracy to try to figure out what they're going to say when they kill one of our brothers or sisters unjustifiably, unnecessarily, and senselessly. They put out erroneous reports to try to buy time. Remember in George Floyd case, they put out the police report that night and never mentioned that they had their knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. They never mentioned that at all. And think about Ahmaud Arbery's thing. They said that he had burglarized a home. So they put out these false narratives to try to justify the unjustifiable. And you all know, Hassan, that on Breonna Taylor's police report, it said that there was no signs of forced entry. And we know, because they bust open the front door. And Coco, they also said that there were no injuries. Even Breonna was
That's
executed with
crazy.
8 bullets.
And it's crazy because they walked into the house, no announcement, and killed this young lady.
Yep. And so we got to keep saying her name because they
Absolutely.
never intended on arresting these officers. They were going to sweep this under the
It still
rug.
doesn't seem like they have any intention to do it now, Attorney Crump. It
No,
doesn't seem like they
because
want to.
even up until now, or even up until maybe 30 days ago, it had just come out and she had already been deceased for
Yeah.
almost 90 something days
Yeah.
without even, they blamed it on the coronavirus or the pandemic. Like they tried to sweep it under the rug as if nothing ever happened. So this didn't come out till, weeks and months later after she had already been deceased.
Yeah. Attorney Crump, what can be done at this point though? Because again, there were so many petitions being signed, and her name is in the atmosphere each and every day.
Absolutely.
Even with the obvious, like it's so many obvious signs of you would think it's an open and shut case, right? But again, being black in America, what can be done at this point?
You would think, Hassan, and there's some things we can do, but that the tragedy is they're making this incredible standard for black people to get criminal justice in these cases when they say you got to have video. And if you don't have video, and that's no guarantee, ask Eric Gardner, but if you don't have video, they kind of say, well, it's your word against the police word.
Right.
And what they're trying to say. And the fact that they say Kenny, shot at police when they came through the front door. The police union is fighting hard on this, even though all the evidence points to they lied, they violated policies and procedures, and they killed an innocent black woman. So the Justice Department is investigating, as well as the Attorney General, Cameron, who is a Republican, who is Mitch McConnell's longtime assistant, and doesn't motivated at all to deliver due process and justice, equal justice to Breonna Taylor. So the mayor, though, they got pressure. This is a Democratic mayor. He can fire all these officers because all of them violated procedure. So we should keep putting pressure on him. We keep putting pressure on the United States Department of Justice. Like even Senator Rand Paul, that show us our power. Breonna Taylor law got passed unanimously in Louisville, and I think it's going to pass in the United States Congress because everybody know these no-knock warrants are asinine. They should be abolished. And oh, by the way, Coco, they and Jinx Yao, they are literally 50% of the time of all the no-knock warrants in America, they're executed on black people, Hassan. And we only make up 13% of the population. So just like they're being disproportionately executed based on race. They don't do this to white people. They don't bust open their doors. But our daughters, our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, we have to worry about them busting open our doors, talking about no-knock warrant because we had probable cause that there was a criminal activity going on. And I mean, if you're selling marijuana or if you're selling ecstasy, does that really want you?
It ain't justification, right?
Exactly. That's right.
Not for death. Nothing is
no.
justification for death.
The white kids who sell ecstasy and so forth, they ain't busting in their doors.
That's right.
Those are the kids who have the labs and the access to the chemicals to make this stuff.
That's right.
So right. As we ask you these questions, can you shed any light on what's taking place with the Elijah McClain story?
It's sad, and I'm not representing that family, but it's so sad because you have all the video evidence that they literally killed this young brother. And this young brother was very articulate in explaining his position. He had certain things that were very important to him. He was introverted. He didn't.
And he told them that.
And he was very clear. And so the problem, I think, is that we got to put more pressure on that case. Colorado is a very white state.
Right.
I mean,
very red state. Yeah.
And so it's kind of bad that you don't have the number of brothers and sisters like in a Georgia or in Minnesota out
Mhm.
there marching for Elijah McClain, and it's not getting the attention that I think it necessarily should get. And the longer time goes on, the harder it is to get news coverages to cover our lives. And that's why you're very happy about the Root and y'all using y'all platform to tell our stories, because some people don't always do that. So with McClain, not only did they violate policies and procedures, but the hospital should be sued too for them administering that drug inappropriately. I
Mhm.
mean, it's like, really?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then
That's crazy.
based on his weight, they gave him so much more than they
Right.
should have for his weight. I mean, he was soaking what 130 pounds, and they said they gave him enough for a 250-pound man. What are we doing?
They
Yeah.
him, and it's what I talk about in my book, Open Season, the legalized genocide of colored people, which stands for this proposition that, you know, they continue to engage in the intellectual justification of discrimination. That
Yeah.
is, no matter what happens, I don't care what fact pattern you give me, Jinx, it's always going to come out that poor people of color get the most of injustice and the least of justice. Point
Yes.
blank, period. And no, as bad as it is, how they killed Trayvon, as
Mm.
bad as it is how they killed Michael Brown, as bad as it is how they killed Tamir Rice, as bad as it is how they killed Philando Castile, as bad as it is how they killed uh, Eric Garner, as bad as it is how they killed Stephon Clark, how they killed Terrence Crutcher, how they killed both of them,
God, all
how they
these
And
killed
names,
Too many names.
County,
names that we're not even saying.
how they killed Sandra Bland, as bad as all these killers, it is worse how they kill us in every city, in every state, in every courtroom, every day in America with these trumped up felony convictions. They
Right.
kill us softly. I mean,
Operative word is Trump.
yep, out very
Period.
trumped charges. And so that's what we talk about in the book. And we talk about how it's the laws that are supposed to protect us are the very laws that they are using to kill us.
Kill
And
us, right.
legally in the courtrooms, whether it's the police brutality or it's the trumped up felony convictions. Because once you are a convicted felon, especially if you're a person of color, your life has changed dramatically.
Right. And can you,
Absolutely.
you know what? Can you explain, elaborate on the word genocide? A lot of people don't know what genocide means. They think is, you know what? I don't even want to tell you
Yeah.
what they think it is. But I want, please, Attorney Trump, Crump, elaborate on
Wait,
the
wait.
word genocide.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Um, you know, in the late 1940s, W.E.B. Du Bois and the Congress for Racial Equality went to the United Nations and they said, we charge genocide. Remember, this was in the aftermath of World War II.
Mhm.
And you had all these beleaguered countries coming and saying we charge genocide, making their case to the United Nations, the world's court, because how they had been murdered and raped and pillaged during the war. Well, black people in America said, well, how is what's happening to them different than what's happening to us? And
Right.
so they went to the United Nations and they put their petition before the court too. And they said genocide is defined as the killing either physically, mentally, or culturally based on race, religion, these entities.
Mhm.
And it is justified by a country for a unjustifiable reason. And so that was the charge that they put to the United Nations. And they opined that the fact when you see it being condoned, nobody's being held accountable for killing, raping, lynching black people, then that is a form of genocide. That is the same thing that we were accusing Hitler of doing
That's
because
right.
are being killed and there's no redress for the murders, or when they are being affected where their children are being affected by the genocide, and the fact that you have young people feeling as if that their value is not that important to the society. You look at those aspects within the larger conversation of genocide, because it's not just when they are killing you physically, it's also how they're killing you psychologically, saying that you are inferior to justify whatever illegalities happen to you. And so you look into all those things, and that's why I can say boldly to legalize genocide in the book, because when you look at the statistics of how they are direct filing children as adults, and you see the fact that 50% of the people who are direct filed as adults are black and brown people, and they're not direct file. And when you direct file a child, think about what the message you're sending, Coco, talking about genocide. You're putting a kid who's 13 away for 20 to 25 years.
And let's add the word deliberately.
Yeah.
This is deliberately done.
Attorney Crump,
I'm sorry, I'll say this one thing. It's so troubling because not only are they direct filing our children in these facilities, but as I articulate in the book, when they put us in these foster homes, they take our children from the parents, and then they use them as guinea pigs for big pharmaceutical companies with all this Adderall and all this stuff they pump into our children. It is literally genocide in so many ways. They're destroying our children, and we
didn't even get to economicals.
Exactly.
Diagnosis and autism and AIDS and all that.
Yep.
Attorney Crump, I know. Last month it was we had the funeral services for George Floyd, and I mean the whole country took a pause. And I feel like this pandemic, it caused everybody to watch what was going on in America, because again, if you look at George Floyd, it's no different from what happened in Staten Island, a few years prior. It's the same thing as Eric Garner, but now everybody had to take a pause and look. And being that this has happened and people have seen like, whoa, and they had to sit back and look at an African American man being killed on basically on television for the world to see. Are you positive for a conviction for these officers that took part in this? Do you think that a conviction will be, basically brought to the forefront, or that justice will be served in this case? Is it open and shut, or what are your thoughts on that?
Never open and shut when you're a black person in America killed by the police.
Right.
But and you see all the things that happen to Eric Garner that they're trying. The medical examiner in Hennepin County, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, he came out with the opinion that George Floyd died from congenital heart failure, which is very similar to what they said about Eric Garner. And he initially said there was no evidence of asphyxiation on George Floyd. Same exact playbook they did on Eric Garner. But as you all know, we have Ellison, who's the first African-American attorney general in the state of Minnesota. Right. He's a good brother, and I think he's going to zealously prosecute this case. So I have a lot of confidence in him. And already we've gotten much further than they ever got in Eric Garner's case, because the grand jury never returned an indictment to charge the officers.
Nope.
Here, all 4 officers have been charged, and they've been charged with murder and aiding and abetting murder, where they can get up each to 40 years in prison. And so that is significant. But I will say this, as we filed our federal wrongful death civil rights lawsuit last week, it wasn't just the knee of Officer Derek Chauvin on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
Right.
Killed him. It was also the knee of Minneapolis Police Department that killed him, based on their history of pattern and practice, policies, and deliberate indifference of arrestees in violating their constitutional rights, like George Floyd. It was predictable. It
Absolutely.
was foreseeable that a
Yep.
person like George Floyd was going to get killed in the torturous manner that he did, because George was tortured to death. But
Yes, he was.
people don't
Tortured.
know David Smith 3 years ago died on a
He's comparing cases, and I got a question to ask him. I really, really do. Can you?
Guys, be patient with us. I know in the beginning we were able to see Attorney Crump, and I think it's some connectivity issues. Now we can't see him, we can hear him. But man,
I'm not
this
sure,
is
but I know it's storming in a lot of places as well. So
yeah, I know he's in Florida.
Attorney, are you back with us?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
We can hear you.
I probably got time for one more question, Hassan. They're trying to pull me away.
Okay, that's fine.
okay. Well,
Go ahead,
I do have one question. And by definition, attorneys like you know, you help clients resolve legal problems, focus on cases involving issues, you know, such as inequality, human rights, social freedom, discrimination. And the task, you know, often requires conducting research, drafting legal documents, arguing cases, negotiating long hours, you know, with stress and time away from your family. Is there a point in time where Attorney Crump gets tired?
There he is, Coco. And sometimes you you know, Reverend Al said it, and it seemed to have stuck this notion of Crump, you're Black America's Attorney General, because we don't have one right now,
Right.
especially Attorney General Barr saying yesterday that the reactions to the death of George Floyd was extreme, and called police officers all across America to be demonized and so forth. And you looking and you saying, well, it was extreme how they killed George Floyd.
Right.
Right.
But to answer your question, Coco, when I get tired and weary and discouraged, you know, the thing that really focuses me is these two things. I look at my little girl. I have a 7-year-old daughter named Brooklyn. And when I look at her, I see so much promise and hope in her eyes.
Wow.
And I remember what we're fighting for. And I say, no matter how daunting the odds are, no matter how overwhelming the cards are stacked against us, I literally say to myself, she is worth the fight.
Wow.
Wow.
Ancestors, they fought for us, Coco, so you, Jinx, and Hassan can use these incredible gifts that God gave you to be on an equal footing with anybody else in the world. So I am just reminded over and over again about what people sacrifice for us. They sacrifice far more than we even sacrificing today. So when I start getting weary and just like, man, they keep Trump win, he get to put 200 judges on the federal bench. I mean, God, Lord, when can we ever get a fair fight? When can the playing field be even? But then I think about the precedents, and this is the last thing I'll say, because it's really deep when you think about being an attorney. Your first year in law school, they teach you, I mean, they're indoctrinated in your head about precedents, Hassan. They keep telling us everything. It's all about precedents. It's all about precedents because we want consistency in the law. Everybody think is based on prior rulings. You got to be able to justify, if you're going to change a ruling, an exception to what has already been ruled before. And I never really accepted that, Jinx, because, man, when you think about the precedents of the United States of America, if we put everything on precedents, then we would still be slaves.
You're
But
absolutely
that's
right.
what
You're so
no.
right about that.
Yeah,
Good.
Dred Scott said there were no rights that a black man had that a white man was bound to respect.
That's right.
You take
That's
Wow.
right.
I took what they were saying about precedents, but then I looked at it from a different viewpoint, because I do believe precedents is a strong indication based on what happened in the past, what is predictable to happen in the future. And so I think about the precedents of black people, and I think about our precedents is that no matter what they throw at us, we will overcome. I mean, we overcame slavery. We overcame the Middle Passage. We overcame Jim Crow. We overcame Dred Scott decision. We overcame separate but equal. I mean, we overcame this everything they throw at us. And so I know based on the precedents, no matter what this racist criminal justice system, American society throw at black people, we gonna overcome.
We're gonna overcome. Attorney Crump, I want to thank you so much. But before you get off, man, and my boy Brandon Watts, he said, man, let's pray for this brother before he gets off. I'm not the resident pastor of Root Access Live. That's Jinx. So if you don't mind, would you let him pray for you before he gets off? Before you get off?
Thank you, Jinx.
Father, we thank you, God, for this opportunity. God, we thank you for Attorney Crump and everything that he represents and everyone that he represents. Father, I know that you've got him in your hands. You've protected him this far. Father, we thank you for your hedge of protection that's around him, his daughter Brooklyn, all of his team members and his family. Father, I pray a special grace over his life, that you would keep him in the place of strength, that you would keep him, Father, in a place of vigor and in a place of being zealous and being passionate. Father, I thank you that you're giving him wisdom, God, beyond his years. Father, I thank you that as he sleeps, God, that he's resting. I thank you that you're giving him sweet rest. God, I don't care if it's 2 hours, let the 2 hours feel like 6. God, if it's 3 hours, let the 3 hours feel like 8. Father, whatever he puts his hand to, God, I pray that you would prosper it. And now, God, I pray for all of the families that he's representing. I pray that he would be a beacon of light to them. I pray that they would find comfort and solace in the fact that because he and also you are fighting for them, that the victory is guaranteed. Father, I thank you for this and all things. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you,
Amen.
Jinx. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
so much. Queen Coco, God bless you. Hassan, my brother, I know.
Thank you, man.
Thank y'all so much.
I appreciate you, man. We'll be talking to Attorney Crump. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Attorney Benjamin Crump, ladies and gentlemen. I know we had some connectivity issues in the beginning, but man, that was profound. That was one of the most important shows we've had.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I wish that you can see him, because when he speaks and he talks and his presence, you can see the passion in him.
Yeah.
That he's excited, and he's ready for the job. And even though I didn't want to test his leadership skills, but I definitely wanted to inquire about his organizational skills, and for him to describe the strategies that he used to argue the negotiating of these high profile cases such as Breonna and George Floyd. And I didn't read his book, but I mean, I'm not finished with it. Let's just say that. But, so far so good. And if you haven't had the chance to purchase or open your copy yet, be ready to get angry and uncomfortable, but also open up your minds and hearts to receive the truth. Because like I said, you might get mad at the injustices that you find, that you just are noticing that are done to our people. And not to mention how many of the cases, just like he was mentioning, that have not been reported nationwide.
It's so many, man. It's so many
things that we didn't know, and like I said, he's done a great job so far, so good on the book and discussing the hot topics. And it's very, very clear to see that Attorney Crump has done his homework. So, I encourage you all to get the book, and have a pen and a pad ready, to take notes. He puts the events into perspective, leading up to what ensued as a result of what happened. If you get the chance to get the book, educate yourself on this current social crisis that we are living in, because Attorney Crump is doing the thing, and I commend him, and I wish I could have said more to him, but he has created awareness, and he's putting himself out there. And and I don't know who follows him, but I've been following him for a long time, and I know that his mentor and the person he looked up to as a child was Thurgood Marshall. And if Thurgood Marshall, then we in good hands, because he stood for the best and he wasn't falling for nothing.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely, man. It was great to have him. Somebody like him, if you watch him on CNN and MSNBC, it's usually 5 or 10 minutes within the show. He's on a panel, but for him to grace us with his presence, even for 20, 25 minutes that he did, It's a complete honor. Like I said, it's the most important show we've had thus far, and we're going to continue to bring you great content. We know as they say in church, the hour is far spent.
Yes.
You know, this is the longest we've ever gone. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. Make sure you share this broadcast. All right, do watch parties, do all of that stuff. I know we couldn't see him towards the end, but just as long as we can hear what he was saying, that's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Again, Miss Karen Green Hayward wants to know the name of the book. The name of the book is called Open Season. It's available on Amazon, Audible, Kindle, all that good stuff. So, you know, like I said, it's distressing, it's overwhelming, it's an eye opener, but it's also a call to action, and it's full of optimism. So, you know, if you get a chance, like I said, educate yourself, and it's way more informative than mainstream and the media news. Like, you know, and he did a stellar job. And, you know, the way he was able to point out the notes and the unfairness was so well written and documented, you know, but it's disappointing, but it stirs up the emotions and it makes you want to share and create the awareness so that we can all prosper. So if he's still listening or if he hears this again, I encourage him and I thank him, but please continue the course. He is much appreciated. I'm telling y'all that now. So again, it's been another show with noble dialogue, decent vibes, excess energy. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you to our special guest, Mr. Benjamin Crump, attorney Benjamin Crump, for engaging and feeding us this evening. We'll see you all next week at 7 p.m. for more good conversation, hot topics, and our music phenom, the living legend, Mr. Richard Smallwood, will be
next
here
week. Richard Smallwood, guys, tune in.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.